This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to the program. Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
I'm very well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm good. You look kind of warm and cozy. It's not super cold outside for December, but
No, but I wore this thing. Yeah, I wore this thing yesterday and got a compliment on it, so I thought I'd wear it again. That's the way that goes.
All right, let's begin. Let's talk some national politics off at the top. You've been deeply involved in watching Republican presidential politics.
Yes.
Glutton for punishment, I suppose.
Right.
It could be worse. You could be watching Democratic presidential politics too. But let's talk about what do you see kind of playing out? You had a column in Sunday's paper kind of analyzing somewhat state of the race. Where do you see things kind of progressing? It is Trump's to lose, correct?
It's Trump's to lose, except I don't believe there's anything he could do anymore to lose anything. So what interested me was the emergence of Nikki Haley, that she had some traditional corporate conservatism skills, that she debated well, and that the Koch brothers organization endorsed her, and that she was moving up in New Hampshire and in Iowa and raising a lot of money. And I long for, and I just admit this, I long for conventional, traditional Republicanism to take on Trump, because I'd like to have a general election in which we argue about traditional left-right Democratic Republican policy differences rather than deal with the madness. I believe the madness and the danger of Trump. So I got interested in her, but she had emerged so much that in last week's debate, she just was the target of DeSantis and Ramaswamy, and I didn't think she held up as well as I hoped she would. She did okay, and she may have benefited from being the acknowledged front runner and taking so much gruff from the guys. But I wish she had done a little better. DeSantis who's her main rival to be the alternative to Trump, did well enough. The point, but it was a chaotic insult fest, is what it was, and I thought, it's a cliche to say it anymore, but the winner was the big guy who wasn't there, Trump. They're just these people are just not much to begin with, and they're destroying each other while he stays above that fray and pursues his candidacy of resentment and grievance and retribution should he get back in office. So it was kind of distressing. But I think that's the upshot of it today. The only way he gets in trouble is if one of these candidates emerges as the strongest and the others drop out and it goes head to head. He probably still wins that. I thought she was in a position to do that. I think she's less so because she didn't do quite as well as I thought she should. And DeSantis, who's her main rival, actually did pretty well. So as we learned in 2016, the more candidates, the more Republicans who stay in the race against Trump, the better he does, because his vote is there. His vote is there whether he is in jail or awaiting sentencing. Even if he's convicted of a crime, he's inoculated against any sort of standard political affliction, I think.
All right, the Washington Post reports this week that a small Conway-based nonprofit, faith-oriented group got a big get this past week. It involves former State Senator Jason Rapert, Speaker of the House, the U.S. Congress, Mike Johnson. What did you see come together on that? What was the crux of what the Washington Post was trying to highlight there?
I think it's trying to highlight that the religious right evangelical movement, which has been strong in the Republican Party, is now getting stronger, and trying to highlight this concept of the Republican Party becoming even more wedded to the notion of a Christian nationalism. and it used to support that our local Christian right personality, Jason Rapert, in 2019 and in 2020 formed a thing that that they call the National Christian Lawmakers Association. He now has delegates from 34 states. They were having their they were throwing a gala last week in Washington. And I think by giving an award to Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, who turns out to be one of them, they lured him to speak. He came to speak. The meeting was open. The whole National Christian Lawmakers meeting of Rapert's was open to the press, but when it came time to speak, media was excluded. And it was the point is, not only is there more melding between now and a major office holder and this movement, but when it came time for them to communicate, they excluded the rest of us. Like, beware. They've now got the third in line to the presidency, giving private speeches to them, being one of them in terms of some of his views, and so Rapert from right there in Bigelow, Arkansas, has got a little something going, or at least he did last week, that drew the attention of the Washington Post. Johnson's told the group that he got a message from God that the Red Sea was parting for him. Just be patient. In other words, McCarthy gets tossed. Jim Jordan can't make it as the new speaker. Others can't make it. And the Red Sea parts, and the Lord walks him safely to the speakership. That was his image, which makes him kind of Moses. And that's the way they feel about what America needs to, they think, restore to Founders' Christian principles. Many of us see it differently and see that as dangerous. But the Post's point was, hey, this happened last week, and it's a new development. It's something we've been watching ever since the 70s, when Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson and the moral majority arose in alliance with the Republican Party. So, Rapert likes to be important. And for last week, according to the Washington Post, his organization was important on a big issue.
Yeah, kind of for a metaphor, a new chapter in the Bible right there.
That's right. That's right.
All right. New development also on our prison bed situation back here in the state of Arkansas. It's been several weeks since Governor Sarah Sanders held a press conference, took to task the prison board for not granting all of her prison bed requests. Now they've been denied partially again. She says, we're just going to go around them. We'll just do this through the executive branch, which I guess is her prerogative. I'm just not sure if it's legal, but what's your take?
It's the same take as before. She wants to add new prison beds at a few locations. Her prison director does. Because of backing up in the county jails. That's a noble thing to want to do. But we have Amendment 33, which vests certain powers in the correction board. And I'm sorry to be repetitive about this, but the way to get that done is to work with the parties who are empowered under either constitutional or statutory law, meaning the correction board, to reach an acceptable solution. This has all been political theater and power play. She and her prison director insisted on doing it. The correction board said, wait, we have some authority here and we don't think we may have the staff to do this. She has a big news conference and attacks the correction board. She calls on them to have an emergency meeting rather than sitting down and talking about it. She wants them to have an emergency meeting and comply with her. They send her a letter explaining why they can't. They have the next meeting, and they still say they've not been given enough information by the corrections director to make a decision, and they've got to hold off on, they approved a little more of it, but they held off on some for more information. So she announces, we're going to do it anyway, regardless of whether Amendment 33 gives them some authority to delay this, to do what they're doing. And that may have to be litigated, but it's just what I find different governing in Arkansas as she does it. We've watched these governors, and particularly the last two, BB and Asa Hutchinson. They were kind of center inclined pragmatists. People said, "Let's work this out," and I always held to the notion, a good notion, that while Washington's falling apart, Arkansas government is actually a little more pragmatic, and their governors are not hyper partisan Washington style politicians. That's all over. Her style is her style, and it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't. But she will win. They're going to come around. But maybe by the correction board delaying, there will be some concessions to new staff or some revisions. She will win it, but I don't like the way she's going about it. And you don't have to go about it that way. But she thinks she's standing up for crime fighting, which is good for her. Sorry, that's the same analysis I've had for weeks, but it's continuing to apply to the situation.
All right. He's John Brummett. He's columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always appreciate your take. Thanks for being with us.
See you next time, Roby. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
That's all for this edition of Talk Business and Politics. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.